Hello and welcome back to Wonder Walkers. Today's video is going to be 5 tips on improving your travel photography.
We wanted to make this video today because we're really interested in travel photography. We have been for a very long time and we do classify ourselves as travel photographers, although I'm more of a part-time travel photographer as opposed to fashion. But I think it's something that we both really enjoy, and it's one thing that we've done over the last 10 years or so, and it's taken us a very long time to develop our skills. And we wanted to talk a little bit more about how we've done this over the past 10 years. We really feel that a lot of these tips that we're going to mention in the video today too can really apply to any type of photography, but we really wanted to specifically talk about travel photos and how we've found that the best ways are to help improve it quickly over time.
There's a famous quote that your first 10,000 photos are your worst photos, and there's a lot of truth in this. I think when it comes to travel photography, I think the only way to improve your travel photography is to just get out there and continuously take photos. Whether you just go to your local beach or park, or if you're going overseas or interstate, just take heaps of photos of a little bit of everything. Taking a lot of photos will help you to improve and become better, and also help you in narrowing down what you really love to take photos of as well.
Yeah, that's what we really say is our number one tip today, is to just make a point of whenever you get the chance, take a lot of photos wherever you go. I think that's the main way to improve with anything in life. You just have to keep doing it and be repetitive and consistent with what you're doing. And I think the more that you go along with taking photos, you'll start to find out what you like, you'll start to develop a style, and you'll really start to hone in on the types of images that you want to take. So that will really in turn improve your outlook for your photography and your portfolio overall.
The second tip we have is to find inspiration from other photographers. So using things like Instagram or Flickr, if you still use that, or even YouTube and Google search. Just find photographers that are doing things that you're really interested in and going to places that you really want to go to. This will help you with figuring out what you like to photograph, your style, places you want to travel to and photograph, and just help you to improve. There's also lots of courses that you can do from your favorite photographers on places like Creative Live, for example. There's a lot of photographers and even photo editors that go on there and do courses on landscape and travel photography, so use those people as inspiration to improve your photography.
If you never have any inspirations that you look to with travel photography, it does make it very hard to really hone in and improve your own work and know where you want to go with it. I think having the inspirations and searching for that is such a great thing, because it's going to help give you direction with your work overall, and it's really going to get you excited about going out there and taking photos. And that's the thing that you really need to keep in the back of your mind, is you really need to have that bit more of enthusiasm and excitement to do this. It's not something that really happens overnight with improving your photography. It's something that happens over time, but definitely having those inspirations will hopefully make it a little bit more of a quicker process for you, and hopefully get you to where you want to be a little bit quicker with knowing direction in your work.
It's also super important just to experiment, and like we said earlier, just go out and take photos of lots of different things. This will also help you to figure out what you do and especially what you don't like. So experiment with things from what you're photographing, whether you like photographing things like flowers to people to beaches, landscapes, clouds, night skies. Like all these things can come under the travel tag. It's also important to experiment with the different types of lenses and gear, like tripods and filters, and even color grading in Photoshop and Lightroom. These things are all things that we should experiment with and help us to improve our style and our travel photography overall.
I think that's another important tip that we have for you today, is experimenting will hopefully get you to what you really like doing. If you don't experiment, then you really don't know what you like in the end. So I think it's very important to always experiment with lots of different things, like Dan said, and just try and be as varied as possible, especially early on in your career, or early on when you are taking travel photos maybe for the first time. Try and do a little bit of a variety of things so you can find what you really like.
I think the most important thing though is to start local within your local area. You don't have to travel far overseas to Europe or America or anywhere like that. Just start at your local parks or your local beaches, your local rainforests, your local whatever it is that's local to you. These can all come under the category of travel. You really don't need to travel to these far-flung places to be a travel photographer.
So we feel that this tip is the one that applies most to travel photography out of everything in this video. And the reason for that is, like Dan was saying, it's easier to start locally. Because a lot of younger travel photographers don't unfortunately always have the money to go traveling all the time, it does make it hard to build that portfolio up of work. So if you can start locally, it's going to make it a lot easier and a lot more affordable for you to start travel photography. And I think a lot of people get into the mind frame of, oh, I'll improve when I can travel to Paris, or I can travel overseas somewhere, or somewhere really grand. But I don't think that that's the point of travel photography. I think you've got to start small and then expand. And the best way to do that is by starting locally. You don't have to wait for that moment to go overseas to start taking photos and improve your work. You can do that locally straight away.
And our final tip is to not worry about the type of gear that you have. You don't need the most expensive, up-to-date, brand new camera. You don't even need an expensive lens. Just use a kit lens if that's all you have, or even your phone if you're really beginning stages of your travel photography career. A lot of modern day phones can take really good pictures. Of course, we would recommend getting a better camera, like an SLR or a mirrorless camera, but if that's all you have at the moment is just a really good phone, just use that to begin with, and you can always upgrade and add new things to your arsenal as you develop and get better.
That's another thing we really want to mention. Just like the last point, I think a lot of people out there really don't want to start or don't want to improve until they've got the gear that they want, or they've got the very expensive gear. But the problem is with that is, I think you start to find as you develop and you've got your gear, that's not really the thing that always makes the huge difference. It can definitely with quality, but I think, like what Dan was saying, with phones even these days, you can get such a great quality photo on your phone. And I think it's important that if you want to improve your travel photography and you want to start, then you should be doing it as soon as possible. Don't necessarily feel like you have to wait until you have the best gear to do that, because you might be actually let down a little bit when it actually comes time to getting your gear. You realize that that's not going to make the creative differences necessarily in your work as well. So I think if you can, start now with what you have and see where it takes you.
We hope this video was very informative and helpful for you, and we hope that you get out there and try to improve your travel photography. Whether you have a phone or you have a really good camera, take lots of photos, don't worry about the gear, experiment, and just start locally if you can. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you click subscribe if you haven't already. We do try to post at least 3 times a week now, so there will be plenty more videos coming up in the future, so make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell to be notified when all our videos come out. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks, guys.